Hello and welcome to Japanese from Zero. For those of you that are clicking this video thinking, wow, I'm going to learn some casual Japanese, you've hit the right video. But I want to warn you, since many of you are clicking this video for the very first time because it's casual Japanese, you might not know that you are in the very middle of a long, maybe in the end 120 or more videos of a course called Japanese from Zero. Okay, this is book one. We've already finished all of book one. There was maybe 30 videos. We are in the middle of now book two. There's probably 15 or so, easily 15 or so videos for that already. And then we will be going on to book three. So when I'm teaching Japanese in this video, I say it understanding that you understand everything that I've covered so far in the video series. At a minimum, you have to have looked at the videos. And at a maximum, I hope you've been through the book or been through the online course at JapaneseFromZero.com. So that being said, we are on lesson 9, one of the most powerful lessons in the entire Japanese from Zero book two itself. Every book has what I consider the lesson, and this is it. Lesson 9 is the lesson that you have to know, okay? Because it sets the stage up for everything we do in course 3. I mean, we're getting that close. We've only got 3 more lessons, and then we're into book 3. I'm very excited at your progress. All right, today we're going to be talking about speaking casual in Japanese. And at this point in your katakana learning, you should know ya, you, yo, and wa, wo, un. Okay? Not that they're going to show up. They're not going to show up here, but they'll show up in the book. And if you're learning the way the book teaches you, it is progressively. We're almost done with katakana, and then we will move to kanji. All right, another topic name for this would be called Japanese plain/casual form. So impolite form, casual form, plain, they all have their reasons why it's called that way. I like to call it casual form because that's the first way that we learn to use it. All right, so I want to make an overall statement before we get into the actual discussion. Number 1, informal/casual/plain form is super important. It is one of the most important things you need to know to bump your Japanese up to the next level. Not just because speaking casual is cool, but because these forms are used in all compound sentences. They're used when quoting sentences. We will use these forms all throughout course 3 and course 4. They are very important. So don't just discount them and say, I'm a polite guy, I'm never going to use casual/informal. You will, because if you don't, you will sound completely wrong. All right? So that is basically what I'm saying right here. You cannot be great in Japanese without knowing these forms that we're getting ready to do. All right. Now, we have hiragana. Okay? Japanese learn hiragana in an order. They learn in a, see the top here? Aka, satana, hama. I didn't put the ya's in here. I took out the ones that don't have any relation to what we're doing today. But they learn in this particular order going from this direction over, okay? And the Japanese hiragana is always in this a, I, u, e, o order, okay? And there's a reason. I don't know if there's a reason for this, but I'm pretty sure when the woman who invented hiragana did it, she was doing it knowing what she was doing, okay? So, and we're going to... I don't know the history of it, but we're going to show you how the hiragana chart actually helps you conjugate forms. We're not going to cover the entire chart. We're just going to cover 2 rows of it, or 3 rows of it today, and then in book 3 we'll move on to 2 other rows of it. Okay, so every Japanese verb that you know, without fail, its base form or its dictionary form, okay, is ending in this yellow line. U, ku. I can give you random verbs, right? Kau, to buy, iku, to go, korosu, to kill, utsu, to shoot, shinu, to die, yomu, to read, wakaru, to understand, oyogu, to swim, hakobu, to move. Every verb in the Japanese language will end with one of these. Okay? Then what you do is, based on that, you conjugate it into a variety of things. Okay? What we already know is this, is E form. That's actually all we've really learned is taking something into the E form. What does that mean? Well, for regular verbs, the final U gets changed into a final E form. And then we add endings. For example, mas, will do, won't do. Or sorry, will do, do. Mashita, did. Masen, won't do, don't do. Masen deshita, didn't do. And we learned in this level, mashou, let's do. They were all using E form plus that, or if they were an iru edu verb, which we learned in the beginning of this course, you drop the ru and then you add your stem. It's very important to know what type of verb you're using. But remember that when in doubt, if a verb does not end in ru, no matter what, it is a regular verb, which means it would be E form plus its ending. If it does end in ru, it could be an iru edu verb. It could be an irregular verb. It could be an iru edu exception verb, which is the same as regular. That's what we talked about when we did the video called There Is No Such Thing as a Ru Verb. Go back and watch that if you are confused. All right, so now what we're going to do is take what is the must form, what we know as the must form, which I will do this thing or I do this thing. We're going to take this into its informal form. And luckily, we already know it. The dictionary form of Japanese verbs, the U form, is the informal future/present form. What do I mean by future present? How can it be both? It depends on the context. For example, if I say, 明日東京に行く, I've now informally said tomorrow I'm going to go to Tokyo. I will go to Tokyo. 明日東京に行く. You won't say this with people that you don't know. This is casual Japanese. You'll say this to your family and your friends, okay? 明日東京に行く. All right? Now, in this sentence, we have the word 明日. 明日 is a future word that forces 行く to be future. That gives it context. That's why, in this sentence, it's not ambiguous at all. We know that 行く here means will go. But if we change 明日 into よく, which we learned a video or so ago, よく means often. So, よく東京に行く. It no longer means I often will go to Tokyo. That makes no sense. It means I often go to Tokyo. It's a thing that you do. It is now present tense, like a thing that you do all the time, or often at least. All right? So it's kind of important to understand how that works, okay? I mean, if we just had Tokyo ni iku, out of the blue Tokyo ni iku, I think I would assume it's future. Like, I think it's always by default future. That's an opinion, okay? But if we have yoku, it forces it to present tense. If we have ashita or raigetsu or rainen, then it forces it to future. Okay, so let's look at some more informal usage. 来週車を買う. Next week I'm buying a car. 来週車を買う, sorry. Right? But what if I said, we don't know this word yet, 毎年. 毎年 means every year. So now it's every year I buy a car. 毎年車を買う. And of course, this is just a very basic sense. We could have it longer. We could say like 毎年新しい車を買う. Right? I always buy, or every year I buy a new car, for example. You can do all sorts of things. These grammar rules will follow you no matter how high level you get. All right? 彼は日本語がわかる. 彼は日本語がわかる. He understands Japanese. This is how you talk to your friends. You could say wakarimasu, but it's awkward. It's actually awkward to talk this way with your friends. Now, up until now, that's all you've been able to do. But I guarantee if you've already got Japanese friends, they've already taught you this informal form because it's so common. 私はいつも寿司を食べる. 私はいつも寿司を食べる. I always eat sushi. So you notice that we've had to make no changes to the verbs. They are exactly as they were when we learned them. That is the dictionary form. Now let's move up on the chart. So we know U form is present future tense. We know E form is used for the polite tenses. Now what we're going to do is go up to A form. We're going to change the last hiragana to A form and then add nai. This is going to make negative, okay? And for iru eru, we're just going to drop the ru and add nai. Okay, let's do it. This is masen as informal. So A form plus nai or drop the ru plus nai. For example, iku goes to ika, and then you add your nai. Ikanai. I'm not going to go, or I don't go. Ikanai. Wakaru. Wakara by itself means nothing. Wakaranai. I don't understand. Wakaranai, I'm sure you've already heard. Wakaranai. You've heard shiranai also. We don't know the verb shiru, to know, but if you've heard shiranai, you heard the informal negative form. Okay? Kaeru. Now, kaeru is an iru eru exception verb, which just means it's regular. It doesn't drop the ru. It means to return. It becomes kaeranai. Kaeranai. Nomu. Take that last mu, move it up to a, noma, nomanai. I don't drink. That all by itself means, hey, I don't drink. Someone offers you an alcoholic beverage and you just say, nomanai, I don't drink. Okay? Now, this is an exception. If the verb E form is actually an E, if it's an U verb, right? So kau is one of them, to buy, it becomes kai, then you have to say kawa. It can't be ka-a, because ka-a doesn't sound right, like ka-a doesn't mesh. So it becomes kawa. This is for every verb that ends in an u in its dictionary form. So ka-u becomes kawa, becomes kawanai. And actually that should have said ka-u, not kai. Sorry, ka-u. So kawanai, I'm not going to buy it. Kawanai, or I don't buy such things. All right, here's another one. In this lesson we learned hiro, to pick up. Hiro. Hiro is an u ending verb, therefore it has to go to wa for its negative. So hiroanai, I'm not going to pick that up. Or I don't pick trash up or whatever. I don't know why you would make that kind of, I don't pick up trash. It's not my style. All right. Now, when we did the video on past tense adjectives, remember it was drop the e and add katta, right? For like for example, atsui became atsukatta. It was hot. And atsukunai, not hot, became atsukuna katta. And I believe in that video I explained to you that later on, this is going to be very handy for you. This is the later on. Okay? We know now that negative informal is a nai, right? A form plus nai. To make past tense, you just do what you did in adjectives. You drop the e and you add katta, okay? So it's a form plus nai, right? One way to think about it is a form plus nakatta, or nai form, drop the e plus katta. Either way, it's not that difficult. And for ru, we're just gonna add nakatta after dropping the ru, okay? For not for ru, but for iru eru verbs. Remember, iru eru verbs, which we talked about, I believe in the very first video of this course, those are verbs that rhyme with iru or eru. All right, so how do you say won't go? Won't go in informal Japanese. Iku goes to ikanai. So to say I didn't go, it's ikanakatta. Ikanakatta. All right, what about I don't understand, informal? I don't understand. Wakaranai. Wakaranakatta. I didn't understand. Wakaranakatta. Wakaranakatta. All right? How about I'm not going to go home. I'm not going to go home. To go home is kaeru. Kaeranai. Kaeranai. I didn't go home. Kaeranakatta. Kaeranakatta. Okay? Don't drink. I don't drink Japanese alcohol. I only drink American alcohol. Or I don't drink anything. I'm on a food diet where I only eat food. That's the opposite of a juice diet. Okay, so nomanai, I don't drink. I didn't drink. Nomanakatta. Nomanakatta. Got it? I mean, it's not that hard. It's hard. It'll be hard when you turn the video off and you have to think. When it happens in the wild, you're gonna be like, oh, what was that pattern? But after a while, it becomes very, very natural to you. All right, here's a tricky one. I'm not gonna buy it. I'm not gonna buy it. Okay, it's kawanai. I didn't buy it. I didn't buy it. It was too expensive. I didn't buy it. Kawanakatta. Kawanakatta. Remember that the u goes to wa when it goes to its negative form. It's a special rule for u verbs, okay? And we learned also the verb to wash in this lesson. Arau. Arau. So it ends in an u. So to say I won't wash or I don't wash is arawanai, and past tense is arawanakatta. All right? So you think you got it? We're feeling good? Oh, I'm sorry, there's irregulars. There's irregulars. Good news is there's only 3 irregular verbs. There's actually only 2 official regular verbs in all of Japanese language. But because there's a special thing that happens with aru, I do claim that in our books, we talk about that as irregular because it doesn't follow the pattern. Okay? So let's look at them. Kuru becomes konai. You just have to know it. Konai. The good news is it at least follows the pattern of dropping the E and adding kata to say I didn't come. Konai, I'm not going to come, or I won't come, or konakatta. Maybe you're saying, oh, my friend, he didn't come. Konakatta. Tanaka-san wa konakatta. Tanaka-san did not come. That's the same thing as Tanaka-san wa kimasen deshita. It sounds completely different, but that's what happens in informal. All right? We don't officially know this word. I think we learned it in a couple lessons. It is suru, to do, one of the most important Japanese verbs. I've purposely held back on teaching it, but we do need to know it here for the irregular. Suru becomes shinai, won't do, and shinakatta, didn't do. Shinakatta. And here is why aru is irregular. Now, we know aru as regular up until this point. It follows every single rule about a regular verb until this point. Because aru, if it were regular, it should be aranai. Because it's a form plus nai for a regular verb. And it doesn't even follow like a pattern for iru-eru. Let's say it was where you drop the ru and say anai. No, you just say nai. It just gets completely removed and changed into nai. So if you say okane ga nai, it means I have no money. Tomodachi ga inai, we didn't do this yet. Tomodachi ga inai. We're going to get to that in a second. And nakatta for past tense. Okane ga nakatta. I didn't have any money. No, there actually is nothing else to say on that. We should know that iru eru drops the ru. So therefore, iru, which means to exist or to have for living objects, is an iru eru verb. So you just drop the ru and add the nai. Inai. Tomodachi ga inai. I have no friends. My friends weren't there. Tomodachi ga inakatta. Okay? All right, let's do one more thing. One really important topic. We just learned how to make informal things, right? We just learned how to do some informal. But we can take those informal, casual things and make them polite again. And we can make them into a very, very common form by just adding des to the end. Des. Des makes it as nice as must form, okay? And it's very common. This is probably more common, more common than just must form because it's softer. All right? So for example, if you say, kuruma o kawanai, I'm not going to buy a car. Kuruma o kawanai, that's informal. Kuruma o kawanai desu. I won't buy a car. It is now polite again. And you can say this to your teacher. You can say this to your parents. But kawanai, family and friends, your mother would probably be okay with kawanai, right? Actually, totally would be okay with kawanai. But if you want to speak polite to somebody, you can just add the des. It's kind of nice, right? All right. Tegami o kakanakatta. Tegami o kakanakatta. I didn't write a letter. Tegami o, who writes letters anymore? I mean, this shows you how long my book's been around. I have the word tegami in here, but not email. All right, and even email is really old. So tegami o kakanakatta. I didn't write a letter to somebody, an actual letter. Okay. If you want to make it polite, tegami o kakanakatta desu. And you can even we don't have here, but if you want to make it polite again, even to a question, tegami o kakanakatta desu ka? That's so polite. Honestly, the woman that works for me, her name is Kanako. She does all of the Ask a Teacher on our website. If you ask a question, she's the one that answers it, and she does a lot of book work. I have her do a lot of work that I don't want to do. It's just like, make these stroke orders wrong, make example sentences. She does all of that work. I've worked with her for 12 years. She's never been ever informal to me. She's extremely Japanese because I'm basically her boss. She would say, tegami o kakanakatta desu ka? Joji-san. She still calls me son after all these years, okay? She doesn't have to. She's earned being informal with me because we're friends, but she doesn't. Tegami o kakanakatta desu ka? Did you not write a letter, George? Very, very polite. あなたと行かない. That's just very abrupt. あなたと行かない. It's so abrupt. I mean, especially since you're saying, I'm not going with you. あなたと行かない. あなたと行かないです. Still bad. I mean, still hurts. But now it's polite. あなたと行かないです. Okay, we have more to talk about. This is a very, very big topic, this informal thing. So we have another big video coming up where we learn past tense positive form. We haven't done this yet. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.